Welcome back. Let's continue with Redwall and find out what's going on with Mathis. We're picking up today with chapter 5. Down in the cavern hole, the great feast had slackened off. So had a lot of belts. Redwall mice and their guests sat back replete. There were still great quantities of food uneaten. But Abbot Mortar whispered in Fear Hugo's ear, Fear, I want you to pack up a large sack with food, hazelnut, cheese, bread, cakes, anything you see fit. Excuse me. Give it to Miss Churchmouse as secretly as you can without attracting attention. Poverty is an ugly specter when a mousewife has as many mouths to feed as she does. Oh, and be sure that her husband doesn't suspect what you're doing. John Churchmouse may be poor, but he is also proud. I fear he may not accept charitable gifts. Hugo nodded knowingly and waddled off to do his abbot's bidding. Cornflower and Mathis had become quite friendly. They were young mice of the same age, though their temperaments were different as they found something in common, an interest in Tim and Tess, the twin church mice. They had passed a pleasant evening joking and playing games with the little creatures. Tess had clambered onto Mathis's lap and fallen asleep, whereupon baby Tim did likewise, in the velvety fur of Cornflower. She smiled at Mathis as she stroked Tim's small head. Ah, bless their little paws. Don't they look peaceful? Mathis nodded quietly in agreement. Colin Voy tilted along and remarked rather foolishly, Oh, would you two look at Mathis and Cornfield over there? I'm nursing those two babies as they were an old wedded couple. Well, crumble my bark. Brother Alf reprimanded him sharply. Here now. You keep a latch on that silly tongue of yours. Colin Vole. Don't you know that someday Mathis will be a Redwall mouse? And don't let me hear you slandering young Cornflower. She's a decent mouse from a good family. Mark my words, Master Vole. I could say a thing or two to your mum and dad. Only last evening I saw you play catch the bulrush with that young harvest mouse. What was her name now? Colin Vole blushed until his nose went dry. He flounced off, swishing his tail, muttering about going outside to take the air. Mathis caught a nod and a glance from the abbot. Excusing himself to Cornflower, he deposited the sleeping Tess gently upon his chair and went across to him. Ah, Mathis, my son, here you are. Did you enjoy my Jubilee feast? Yes, thank you, Father, Mathis replied. Good, good, chuckled the abbot. Now, I was going to ask Brother Alf or Edmund to go on a special errand, But they are no longer young mice, and both look quite weary at this late hour. So I thought I might ask my chief chief grayling catcher to carry out this special task for me. Mathis could not help standing a bit taller. Say the word and I'm your mouse, sir. The abbot leaned forward and spoke confidently. Do you see the church mouse family? Well, it's such a long way back home for them on foot. Good heavens, and there are so many of them. I thought it would be a splendid idea if you were to drive them home in the Abbey cart, along with the others going that way. Constance Badger would pull the cart, of course, while you act as a guide and bodyguard. Take a good stout staff with you, Mathis. The young mouse needed no second bidding. Drawing himself up to his full height, he saluted in a smart military fashion. Leave it to me, Father Abbot. Old Constance is a bit slow thinking. I'll take complete responsibility. The abbot shook it with silent laughter as he watched Mathis march off with a shoulder-like swagger. Flip-flop, flip-flop. He tripped and fell on his tail. Oh dear, I have to get that young mouse some sandals that aren't so big, the abbot said to himself for the second time that day. Whoa, what a stroke of luck. Fancy Cornflower's family living so close to the church mouse Broad. Mathis was only too glad to offer them a lift. Would Miss Cornflower like to sit next to him? She most certainly would. Cornflower's parents sat inside the cart, her mom helping Miss Church Mouse with the little ones, while her dad chatted away with John Church Mouse, as they shared a pipe of old Barch and Twist. Friar Hugo came out and dumped a bulky sack into next to Miss Church Mouse. Abbot says to thank you for the loan of bowls and tablecloths, ma'am. The fat Fuhrer gave her a huge wink. All comfy back there? Called Mathis. Right, off we go. Right off we go, Constance. The big badger trotted the cart away as they called their good nights. She nodded at Mathlow, the ancient gatekeeper mouse. As the cart rolled onto the road, a sliver of golden moon looked down from a star-pierced night. Mathis gazed upward, feeling as if he were slowly turning with the silent earth. Peace was all about him. The baby mice inside the cart whimpered fitfully in their small secret dreams. Constance ambled slowly along as though she were out of a nighttime stroll, pulling no weight at all. The stout ash staff lay forgotten on the floorboard. Cornflower dozed against Mathis's shoulder. She could hear the gentle lull of her father's voice and that of John Churchmouse blending with him the hum of nocturnal insects from the meadow and hedges of this balmy summer night. The summer of the late rose. Cornflower turned the words over in her mind, dreamily thinking of the world of the old rambler that bloomed in the Abbey's garden. Normally, it was full red flower by now, but this year, for some unknown reason, it had chosen to flower late. It covered it in dormant young rosebud, even now, well into June, a thing that happened only infrequently, and usually heralding an extra long hot summer. Old Mathom could only remember 3 other such summers in his long life. Accordingly, he had advised that it be marked on the calendar and in the Abbey's chronicles as the summer of the late rose. Cornflower's head sunk lower in sleep. The old cart rolled on gently down the long dusty road. They were now over halfway to the ruined church of St. Nina, where John Churchmouse lived, as had his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather before him. Mathis had fallen into a deep slumber. Even Constance was unable to stop her eyelids drooping. She went slower and slower. It was as if the little cart had its occupants were caught in the magical spell of an enhanced summer night. Suddenly, without warning, they were roused by a thunder of hoofs. Nobody could determine which direction the sound was coming from. It seemed to be filling the air about as it was gathering momentum. The ground began trembling with rumbling noise. Some sixth sense warned Constance to get off the road to a hiding place. The powerful badger gave a mighty heave. Her blunt claws churned the roadside soil as she propelled the cart through a gap in the hawthorn hedge down the slope of a ditch where she dug her paws in, holding the cart still and secure while John Churchmouse and Cornflower's father jumped out of and wedged the wheels firmly with stones. Mathis gasped with shock as a giant horse galloped past, as its mane steamed out, eyes rolled in panic. It was towing a hay cart which bounced wildly from side to side. Mathis could see rats among the hay, but those were no ordinary rats. They were huge, raged rodents, bigger than any he had ever seen. Their heavy tattooed arms waved a variety of weapons: pikes, knives, spears, and long rusty cutlass. Standing boldly at its backboard of the hay cart was the biggest, fiercest, most evil-looking rat that ever slunk out of a nightmare. In one claw he grasped a long pole with a ferret's head spiked to it, while the other was on his thick, enormous tail, which he cracked like a whip. Laughing madly and yelling strange curses He swayed to and fro skillfully as horse and wagon clattered off down the road into the night. As suddenly as they had come, they were gone. Mathis walked out onto the road, staff in hand. Stray wisps of hay drift down from him, down behind him. His legs trembled uncontrollably. Constance hauled the Abbey cart back to the road. Cornflower was helping her mother and Miss Churchmouse to calm the little ones down, the little ones' tears of fright. Together they stood in the cart tracks, amid the settling dust. "Did you see that?" "I saw it, but I don't believe it." "What in heaven was it?" "What in hell, more like." "All those rats, such big ones too." "Aye, and that one on its back. He looked like the devil himself." Seeing Mathis still stunned by what had happened, Constance took over the leadership. She wheeled the cart around. "I think we'd best head back for the Abbey." She said firmly. "Father Abbot'll want to know about this straight away." Knowing that the Badger was far more experienced than himself, Mathis assumed the role of second in command. "Wait, Cornflower, get in the cart and take charge of the mothers and babies," he said. "Mr. Fieldmouse, Mr. Churchmouse, up front with Constance, please." Silently, the mouse did as ordered. The cart moved off with Mathis positioned in the back, providing a rear guard. The young mouse gripped his staff tightly, his back to his charges, facing down the road the direction the hay had taken. Moving on to Chapter 6. The horse had gotten away safely. It was the hay cart that suffered most damage, bolting recklessly from side to side down the road. The blinkered animal failed to see the 2-stone gatepost on its right, skidding crazily. The cart smashed into the upright. There was a loud splintering of shafts as the horse carried onward, trailing into its wake reins, tracers, and shattered timber. His lightning reflex served him well. Cluny leaped clear. He landed cat-like on all fours as the hay cart upended in the roadside ditch. Its buckled wheels spinning awkwardly. Feeling braced after his mad ride and the subsequent narrow escape, Cluntney strode to the ditch's edge. The distressed cries of those trapped beneath the cart reached his ears. He spat contemptuous, narrowing his one good eye. "Come on, get out of there. You're cringing loud of cat's meat," he bellowed. Redtooth, Dark Claw, Report to me, or I'll have your skulls for skittles. Gluttony's 2 henchmen pulled themselves from the ditch, shaking their heads dazedly. Crack, slash. The whip-like tail brought them swiftly to his side. Three-Leg and Scratch are dead, Chief. Dead as dirt. The cart crushed them, Chief. Stupid fools, snarled Gluttony. Serves them right. What about the rest? Old Wormtail has lost a paw. Some of the others are really hurt. Gluttony sneered. Oh, they'll get over it and suffer worse by the time I'm done with them. They're getting too fat and sluggish by the trips. They're not last 5 minutes in the storm at sea. Come on, you dead alive ragbags. Get up here and gather round. Rats struggled from the ditch and the cart, frantic to obey the harsh command as quickly as possible. They crowded about the perch. None dared to cry or complain about their hurts. Who could predict what mood the warlord was in? Wait, cock your lungs up and listen to me. Gluttony snarled. First, we got to find out where we have docked. Let's take a bearing of this place. Redtooth held up his claw. The Church of St. Nenum. Chief, it says so on the notice board over yonder. Well, no matter. It'll do us a berth until we find something better. Fangburn, cheese thief. Here, Chief. Scout the area. See if you can find a better lodging for us than this heap of rubble. Trail back to the west. I think we passed a big place on the way. Aye, aye, Chief. Frogblood. Scumnose. Chief. Take 50 soldiers and see if you can round up any rats that know the lie of the land. Get big, strong rats, but bring along weasels, stoats, and ferrets too. They'll do in a pinch. Mind now. Have homes don't stand for arguments. Smash their dens up so they won't have homes to worry about. If any refuse to join up, then kill them there and then. Understood? All clear, Chief. Reger, Manfur, take 20 rats and forage for supplies. The rest of you get inside the church. Redtooth, Darkclaw, check the armor. See if are things about that we can use around the churchyard. Jump to it. Cloney had arrived. And I think I'm going to stop there because the next chapter is a bit long. Until next time.